All right, let's start with the public hearing. It's on an ordinance to adopt the 2018 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code. And council will now hold the hearing on two ordinances, which if adopted would adopt the 2018 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, therefore repealing ordinance 2019-05 and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, would adopt the 2018 edition of the International Fire Code, therefore repealing ordinance 2019-03 and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict with therewith. A hearing on the ordinance has been advertised for this evening. This hearing is not an adjudicative hearing, so no stenographer is present this evening. This hearing is your opportunity to learn about the ordinance and let council know if you have any opinion on the proposed ordinance. At this point, I'll ask our Township Manager, William G'day Walker, to provide an overview of the ordinance. Then there will be an opportunity for comment from council, and then there will be public comment.
Okay, so this is something we do every 3 years. We update our property maintenance code. These codes are put out by the International Code Council, and it's the International Property Maintenance Code that establishes minimum requirements for the maintenance of existing buildings, and also the International Fire Code, which establishes minimum regulations for fire protection and fire prevention. So again, we do these every 3 years. We have to wait for the state. The state adopts them first, and then we follow the state. And they also help us not only have the code for proper property maintenance and fire codes, but if our code enforcement has to write a citation to a property owner, these codes help us in court. The court expects some justification of why we wrote a citation. So these codes help us in court if we have to go there.
Okay. Is there any council discussion? Any public comment? Okay, council will now close this hearing and consider this ordinance later this evening. Ready, Bill? Premature there, All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Please take off your Mets hat and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary, here's where you get to sing. Here's where you get to sing.
Oh.
All righty. First item on the agenda is to thank the Public Works Department and the Horsham Little League volunteers for the work that they did in Deep Meadow Park to prepare for opening day of baseball and our Miracle Field 5K. Bill, you want to elaborate a little?
As council's aware, in early April, the Little League had their opening day for Little League season, as well as the Miracle Field and Mr. Slaymakers in the rear had their 5K the morning of opening day. But prior to that, our Public Works and many volunteers, parents of the Little League children, did a lot of work over in Deep Meadow Park to get ready for that weekend. A lot of work, and then it rained heavy Thursday night, so a lot of work had to be done on Friday, the day before. So tonight we just want to pay special recognition to the Public Works and to those Little League volunteers that make it all happen and made the day happen. And as you know, Mr. Wade is our council representative on the Miracle Field, and I'll pass it off to him.
I just want to echo the same things you were saying, and then also the volunteers that helped put the Miracle Field 5K together. It was pretty incredible. We had a lot of outreach from the community, including one of our very own council members participated in the 5K, Mr. Nesbitt. I think he has a new record, yeah, in his age category.
Mr. Golden blew my doors off after about a mile.
Another community
Going
member.
uphill.
But yeah, I just wanted to recognize everybody who participated in that, from the Public Works getting it ready and putting the sign up to all the volunteers from Little League and the Miracle Field. It was a great day.
Okay, great job. Next item is to announce that Horsham Township has won first place again in the category of Most Improved Newsletter, statewide citizens communication contest.
So as council is aware, we've changed our newsletter about two years ago, and we get many compliments for it. It's almost like a magazine now. It's like a Horsham magazine. And so we did submit it to I'm not plugged in here, sorry. But we did submit it to a statewide citizen communication contest, and I'm proud to announce that, Horsham came in first place statewide for the most improved newsletter. And aside from the newsletter, we concentrate a lot on citizen communication. It's very important to us. Openness, transparency, communication. We use our newsletter, we have website, we have our social media, multiple social media sites. We use our online messaging. Someone calls in the township building and gets put on hold. There's a message on hold message system that they can listen to announcements while they're on hold. We have our local TV channels on Verizon and Comcast. We also utilize our bulletin boards along our trail system and in our park system to put announcements, as well as all the lobbies of the township buildings, the library and here, the police station, and even our friends at the Horsham Fire Company will put up digital announcements on their digital signs on Meeting House Road and Horsham Road, as well as our library digital sign on Babylon Road. So we try to use every which way we can to reach out to the residents and keep them informed of what's going on in Horsham. But this is, we're very proud of this. It's a nice recognition for the staff that puts together the newsletter, something we're very proud of.
Good job, Bill. Greg and I were just laughing about how far we've come. When we first came on council, we had the old blue and white
Yes,
newsletter,
yes.
white page with blue lettering and blue pictures.
We still have all those copies.
Yeah. So we've come a long way, and it's been great, that it's transformed to an award-winning newsletter, which is awesome. So thank you. Next is to recognize the 20th anniversary of the Jarrett Nature Center.
Many of us also know the Jarrett Nature Center. The Jarrett Nature Center is located on school district property between the high school and Simmons Elementary School. And they started 20 years ago, and Kathleen Gibson, the director of the Nature Center, is here with us this evening. But this year they're celebrating their 20th anniversary. And I go back 20 years ago, I was still in Parks and Recreation, and we were helping them clear out with chainsaws and chippers and backhoe, whatever they needed from us. We assisted the school district and the Jarrett Nature Center folks, and Rick and Carolyn and a lot of the people that were here 20 years ago. But it really is, it's open to the public. So it's just not an outdoor classroom for the school kids. In the evenings and weekends, even during the daytime when the kids aren't using it from the schools, the public is welcome to go back. I think it's a half-mile trail. But it's pretty amazing, the wildlife habitat, what they've done back there is pretty amazing. So I don't know, Kathleen, if you want to say anything else or add something to it.
To say that we appreciate all the support from Horsham Township. The library's huge supporters. We do programs with them. A lot of times we'll hold our programs at the library. We have one coming up, Earth Day will be on the 23rd. Of April at the Nature Center from 10:30 to 1:30. And then at 2, we have a speaker coming. He's a professor at the University of Delaware, Doug Talamay, and he will be speaking at the library at 2 that afternoon, and it's free for the community.
But Kathleen does a lot of neat activities aside for the public, for the community. They have nighttime, like stargazing, and I don't even know all the names, like Owl Night. I think even a couple of times they have like camping out nights that you can camp out overnight and then at the Nature Center in tents. So, and all that's for the community. That's not a school district run event, that's for the community. So we have a lot of residents that participate and go to these events at the Jarrett Nature Center. So we're happy that you're celebrating your 20th anniversary and hopefully many more years to go.
Yeah, we're hoping. Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations. So tonight we're going to present you with a proclamation that reads as follows. The Jarrett Nature Center is a 13-acre site situated between the Hatboro Horsham High School and Simmons Elementary Schools in Horsham Township. The GNC contains environmentally sensitive lands, including an extensive floodplain, wetlands, woodlands, and a tributary to the Park Creek. Teachers, students, and members of the Horsham Township community utilize the GNC as an outdoor classroom for environmental education, nature appreciation, and passive recreation. For the last 20 years, the GNC has provided environmental education for the students of Hatboro Horsham School District, protected and nurtured an on-campus wildlife habitat, and promoted understanding, respect, and responsibility for our environment through a supportive collaboration of educators, students, parents, and community members. The Jarrett Nature Center provides valuable services to the Horsham Township community, and we are fortunate for their positive impact in our township. We are honored to recognize and congratulate them on their 20th anniversary and wish you many, many more. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kathleen, we're going to get a fast picture with you, with council. You're going to come up and around.
All right, next, we are going to recognize the Horsham Police Department for their effort and to promote awareness for the National Autism Awareness Month.
So as council's aware, we've talked a lot about it the last couple of weeks about Autism Awareness Month in April. And autism affects, the national statistic is 1 in 44 children, which is pretty huge in our country, I think. As we also know, there's no single cause of autism, but we also all know that the earlier it's been diagnosed helps the children and helps the people. So we have many people in our community, children and adults, with some type of on the spectrum of autism. So I'm very proud this evening that we are going to recognize our Horsham Police Department and Horsham Fire Company for their autism awareness efforts this month. I'll first ask Chief Scott Fida to come up and tell us what his department's been doing to bring more awareness and education with regards to autism.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. As was previously stated, April is National Autism Awareness Month. But for us, our story starts at the end of last year. So Lieutenant Bozomo of our police department, as you all know, among other things, heads our community policing program. And he came to me with an idea. He said, listen, April of next year is Autism Awareness Month. Let's try to raise awareness. Let's think of some ways we can do that. He goes, but I already have an idea. We want to wear blue badges in recognition of the month. It's a great idea. The stars started aligning a bit. So Lieutenant Folk from the fire company, who has would it be fair to say, a nationally renowned training program on first responders awareness for autism. For years, we've been trying to get that training here in the PD. Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, because of COVID-19, that curtailed those efforts. But he reaches out to me and says, hey, listen, through some funding and some volunteerism, we have autism sensory kits, which I think he'll explain to you a little bit more about what they are, that we're looking to give to all our first responder agencies in the area, and we're putting on our training in April. I said, well, this is fantastic. We're finally starting to get some of these things we wanted to get done, and this goes right towards our awareness month. If you know Lieutenant Bozomo, he likes to one-up his own ideas, so he came to me later on and said, here, I have an idea. What if we pitch to the school district, getting in and actually spending some time with the autistic support classes at the elementary school level? I told him I think that's a great idea, but we need to get on board with the school district, and so we went down and met with Karen Canner down at Simmons Elementary School, pitched the idea to her. She fell in love with it immediately. So what we've been doing, a week ago today, we had a 3-course training on autism awareness put on by Lieutenant Folk. We were just talking back here. In the last week, we've had 3 positive interactions with subjects on the spectrum, police and emergency services personnel. All positive, very much attributed to the training we received just the other day, a week ago. In the meantime, all throughout April, we are spending Each Thursday, we're sending 3 officers down to Simmons Elementary School to sit and actually go through class with the autistic support staff and their kids. I got to go last week. I'm going to use Lieutenant Bizzomo's terminology. It was powerful for me to sit. We were there for about 3 hours. Got to go through some of the daily routine with all the children everywhere from the kindergarten level up until 5th grade, see some of the daily struggles, things that we take for granted, and how difficult it is for them to deliver some of the learning experiences for those on the spectrum. As a parent, it was enlightening, and as a chief of police, to be able to get to know these kids, to see some of the things that they go through, to receive the training that was provided by the fire company and Brian Fote. I can tell you that as a chief of police, I can go to bed sleeping a little more soundly tonight, knowing that our people are adequately equipped to deal with those in the spectrum. It's been really great, and so grateful to Brian, the school district, for being able to do this.
Thank you, Chief. Next, we'll have the Horsham Fire Company up for their autism awareness sensory kits.
I don't know, who wants to?
So before Brian takes the microphone, autism awareness has been something very near and dear to the fire company's heart for several years. Just prior to COVID, we sat around and we talked about it, and we realized one night that we have a lot of families within the fire company that are affected in one way or another by autism. So I don't. Maybe some of you bought them. We sold T-shirts and it went viral. We sold shirts to California, people in Ohio, Arizona. We couldn't make them fast enough. And then COVID kind of hit, and then obviously everything was in a stalemate. Brian, when we hired Brian in September, he came to me and goes, "What do you think about reviving the autism classes again?" And I said, "I think that's a great idea." And it has really taken off. If you've seen any of the social media, he's been all over teaching classes, and we're very fortunate to have him as part of our staff. So with that.
So the second part of that was we were able to secure funding through donations to put 70 sensory kits out for this year. And so every apparatus that we have, police departments and people that touch Horsham Township are equipped with these now. And kind of the way it breaks down is one of the challenges in dealing with someone on the spectrum is communication. So we kind of have some things that are able to communicate. A whiteboard, in lieu of the use of a storyboard. I don't need that.
Yeah, but he needs it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got a big mouth though.
I run into the same problem.
That giving people choices, no matter what the emergency is, whether it's a police emergency or whether it's a fire emergency or a medical emergency. So communication is one of the top things. And the next is sensory overload, whether someone was overwhelmed by noises or bright lights or just also excited. Right? So someone could be overstimulated by excitement. So we just have some additional sensory things: headphones, safety glasses, and some sensory toys that are able to hopefully distract or redirect somebody that's overwhelmed in a calming effect, so we can be able to interact. And I think it's the support of the community. It makes a difference. And we made a difference last Wednesday, and we'll continue to do so.
So,
Ed, Bill.
so these kits are now in all of your trucks and ambulances and our police vehicles.
All our apparatus, yeah.
There's 70 surrounding the community of Horsham, but in addition to everyone in Horsham having one.
Okay. And you're training you're training first responders
We trained 131 people last Wednesday
back in the community center?
in the community center.
Wow. From how far away?
Buckingham, the majority of the police department, all the on-duty people from the fire department, Buckingham, a couple from Philadelphia, some nurses from the hospital. We opened it up to basically anyone that wanted to come was able to. And 131 is a pretty good number for a one-day session.
Fantastic.
I think it never ceases to amaze me how, between the police department, the fire company, how awesome you guys are in getting involved with the community. And, it's just hard to put to words just how grateful we are up here, and then as the community should be as grateful just for what you're doing and keep up the good work, 'cause I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have a proclamation for you, Brian. So, Brian, Folk,
Folk, close enough.
I'm gonna mess that up. Brian Folk has been an employee of Horsham Fire Company since May of 1988. Initially an active part-time employee, Brian was hired full-time as a staff paramedic firefighter in September 2021 and promoted to the rank of lieutenant in January of 2022. The diagnosis of Brian's young son with autism taught Brian firsthand how overwhelming some situations could be for those with autism, especially those involving flashing lights, loud sirens. Brian has conducted training sessions with the Horsham Fire Company and other mutual aid partners to educate first responders on how to recognize and effectively respond to autistic individuals. Because of Brian's efforts, the Horsham Fire Company received funding to create sensory kits, which they will bring to all emergency calls. These kits contain items to keep the subject's hands busy, reduce noise around them, and help them communicate with first responders. We pay, honor, and to celebrate the outstanding efforts of Brian Folk to ensure quality care and services that are available to all of our residents. We are honored to recognize the time and effort he has contributed to make Horsham Township a great, safe place to live. Thank you, Brian. Thank you all for everything you're doing. Good job.
Now it's picture time.
All righty. Next is an opportunity for questions, comments from the public. Anybody? Eddie, yes?
So I just wanted to come and publicly say thank you. I have like an acceptance speech written here with all the people I want to thank. So first,
Can you get a little closer to the mic there, Lee?
to Mr. Walker. The highlight of the project so far is that sign going up. I hope all of you have had an opportunity to see the sign where Miracle Field will be built. Thank you for coordinating that, Dennis. I know you worked very hard too. Thank you. To the police and firemen who, oh, thank God Scott's still here. They all showed up. They attended meetings that we ran to coordinate that event. Their cooperation was fantastic, so thank you very much. The volunteers that we had many, many volunteers, over 40 volunteers who lined the race, who handed out t-shirts. To the volunteers who made that happen, thank you. And our local representatives. Todd Stevens was a huge help. Senator Collette ran in the race. I think she placed rather high. It was just a really great community event. We had over 300 participants. Our goal was 225, and we had over 300. So very successful first 5K for us. Very quickly, other things that are happening with Miracle Field. We just released our new website. So if you go to horshammiraclefield.com, you'll see a new updated website. We are filing for grants. That's where a lot of my attention is right now. We are filing for a lot of private grants. Specifically, we filed with Acme. We have an in with Asplund and other organizations throughout the area. And I think that's all I want to tell you. But again, thank you very much. Appreciate your support.
Thank you for your efforts. Wonderful. Okay, next is an update on the water issues in Horsham.
This is your monthly update. As you know, this chart is on the Horsham Water and Sewer Authority website, and it gives you each of the wells and the interconnect and the status and change outs, and it's very informative if you want to find out information about the long-term plan for each of the wells. Also part of the long-term plan, as you know, the Navy had agreed to service 47 property owners with private wells between 40 and 70 parts per trillion. 39 have accepted those offers, and all 39 are now connected. The Park Creek treatment plant effluent result is still averaging, the new is 26.7, and I believe last month's was 26.9, so it's pretty stable. It's what it's averaging in at. The myriad grant funding that has been awarded to the Water and Sewer Authority for private connections, private well owners being able to connect their wells that have PFAS contamination in their wells. 27 property owners are under agreement to date. 25 connection offers are pending. 14 are awaiting test results, and 6 properties have tested it non-detect or ineligible for connection. So that's going very well between our Water and Sewer Authority and the Navy connecting private well owners in Horsham. People are getting service that would not have prior, a couple years ago, would not have been able to afford the connections. Stormwater management update, it's just the 2 pilots, groundwater pilots. The first one is Hangar 680 near the Biddle Air Guard Station. As of April 4th, that now has treated 20.503 million gallons have been treated. And at their pilot number 2, which is off Horsham Road, as of April 4th, that's treated 1.855 million gallons. At the Biddle Air National Guard Base, the detention basin that flows into Park Creek, the permanent stormwater treatment system that was built at that detention basin is continuing to operate. And as at the end of March 2020, approximately 70 million gallons have been treated, and all sample results after the filter have been below 2 parts per trillion combined for PFOA and PFOS. Just 2 quick updates. The next RAB meeting is scheduled for Thursday, May 19th at 2022 at 6 p.m. I do believe this is going to be virtual. They have not announced that, if it is virtual or not, but we hope, and we did write the letter to them to go put the RAB meetings back in person. We've offered our library community rooms as well as our community center behind the township building for those meetings. And the Pennsylvania Department of Health, the multi-site national health study, is continuing to recruit adults and children. It has slowed down a little bit with that they are booked through, I think, May and into June. They are looking to expand their clinic hours, but they're starting to slow down too, and they expect even a more slowdown during the summer when people go away on vacation after school's done. So it's not as easy as it sounds like, even though you're dealing with almost 100,000 people between Warminster, Warrington, and Horsham. It's hard to get people recruited in. So we just need to keep pushing it out there and spreading the word to get people to sign up. We put this timeline of all that has happened, a little municipality in the United States of America, and what we've done since 2016, and we keep adding to our timeline and our efforts of what is going on. So April of 2022, the demolition to make way for the treatment system scheduled for wells 10 and 17, and that's looking to be completed in late fall. So we'll see the also the construction of the new well on the library property at Jarrett and Babylon. They're getting ready to start that. And so well 21 is estimated completion in early 2023. And our water supply, our public water supply in Horsham is below detection levels of PFOA and PFOS, and one of the safest water systems in the country. And that is verified by the EPA and DEP officials.
Thank you, Bill. Next, we need a motion for approval of the minutes for March 9th and March 28th.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Been moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Treasury report?
Balance in the general fund as of March 31st, 2022 is $3,919,587.03. For the most part, both the receipts and the expenditures in the general fund reflect normal activity for March. Revenues in the general fund are at 42.62% of budget, and expenditures are at 22.10% of budget. For a more detailed presentation of our current financial position, I would refer you to your monthly booklet.
Move to approve the list of checks and all funds in the amount of $689,182.03. Further move to authorize payment of the same. Additionally, I move to ratify the U.S. Bank credit card transactions for the month of March 2022 in the amount of $9,035.98.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next is the Hatboro Horsham School District's Land Development Plan.
This is the preliminary plan for the Keith Valley Middle School. As you're aware, they have received the zoning hearing board. The variance is needed from the zoning hearing board. They have received recommended preliminary approval from the Township Planning Commission. They were in front of you for review, and now this evening we do have their signed copy of their agreement to accept conditions for preliminary approval preliminary approval for your consideration this evening is ready for your action. If they get approved tonight, then their next step is final plan review, and they would be in front of the Planning Commission in May, back in front of you the end of May, and possibly final approval in June.
Good. Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed, granting preliminary land development approval to the Hatboro Horsham School District, Keith Valley Middle School, 227 Meeting House Road, 21 TAC 13 TAC D.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. There's a roll call vote, Bill?
Ms. Harmon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Nesbitt, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And Mr. McCouch, how do you vote?
Vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next is a review of the subdivision and land development plans for J.D. Signature Homes.
This is, and they are with us this evening. This is, if you're familiar with the Sansoni Farm, this is, let me just orient you here. This is Meeting House Road down at the bottom. There we go. So this is Meeting House Road here. This is Moreland Road here. This is a minor subdivision. This is an existing house here. What their application proposes to do is simply draw this line and create two lots. This would be Lot 1, where I assume one of the Sansoni family members will live, and this will be Lot 2, and some possibly future land development for that project. Their engineers here tonight, Wayne from Showalter Associates and John from J.D. Signature Homes, to present the plans to you and answer any questions that you have. Again, this is just the subdivision. This is not their land development plan.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the board taking the time to hear us tonight. My name is John DePasquale with J.D. Signature Homes. We're a small family builder based nearby in Hatboro. It's my wife, my dad, and my brother, and some other good folks. What we have here is really the first phase of a two-phase plan. The first phase is this minor subdivision. The second phase would be indicated by the dotted lines you see there, which would be 7 single-family houses, which has zoning approval already, and we've submitted the application with the planning commission to review that, which is underway. But in order to facilitate the transaction with the Sansoni family that owns this overall parcel, we've split into 2 phases. So right now, all we're talking about, as the manager said, is just this minor subdivision, splitting the slot into 2, so that that house that you see in the lower right-hand corner and the outbuilding in the back remain, and then we can proceed with our development of the remaining portion of the property.
Let me try to get to your satellite photo of my computer. There we go.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. So all of the other outbuildings and all of that debris obviously going to be cleaned up and removed. We had a unanimous recommendation favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission, and we had one member from the public who offered a question about utilities, which we answered, and otherwise she expressed support for the project and thought that it would be beneficial to the neighborhood. And obviously I agree, and I hope the board agrees as well. I don't know if there's much more to talk about. Again, we'll be back in front of you when we're talking about the seven-unit subdivision. But for right now, we're just talking about this minor, separating this 4-acre parcel into two. I'll turn it over to our engineer, Wayne, to discuss more details.
There's really not a lot of engineering to get into with this. It's pretty simple. We have the reviews from the engineer and all the other township consultants. Everything is will comply, except we will be asking for one waiver, and that is showing existing features within 400 feet of the site. We'll expand this area to expand out to 400 feet as they requested.
That's it?
And I just, one question for both of you is demolition. So the subdivision is going to occur, that line's going to happen, and you have a building that you're drawing a line through. How's that?
Correct. So that building is to be demolished. The plan, obviously, is to demolish it as soon as possible. From our perspective, we're not able to demolish it until we have our approvals for the remainder of the project. So our proposal is, we're not looking for it to be open-ended. We're committing, and the existing owner would agree to commit to demolishing that within a reasonable time frame so that there's no question that it's going to remain on the property. No one wants it there. We don't want it there. The seller doesn't want it there. The neighbors don't want it there. I know the town doesn't want it there. We can agree to remove it within 365 days, but I can tell you we have one of the first, if not the very first house that we're building in this project is adjacent to the remaining parcel. So when we get a building permit for that, we're going to have to demolish. So it's coming down sooner rather than later, but we can agree that within 365 days it would be removed.
Right now you have it under agreement of sale?
Correct.
What do you have under agreement of sale? The new,
Mary, your mic.
sorry.
I can hear you, but yeah.
Yeah, but he needs to hear
I
it.
understand.
Sorry. What do you have under agreement of sale?
We have the overall property under agreement of sale.
Your group is the buyer of the property?
Correct. I do not represent the seller or the owner. I represent the buyer.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Or I am the buyer, yeah.
Mary, you can make that a condition.
I've got it.
Okay. That's all we need tonight, right?
Yeah, that's all for tonight, and then your next meeting, Mary would complete the resolution and send you, I don't know if you do, yeah, we don't do agreement to accept conditions for minor subdivisions, do you? Are you going to do it? We have a condition, so.
We don't need to.
Okay.
Hey, you're good to go.
That's, okay.
That's it.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you for your time.
Take care. Next is consider resolution authorizing condemnation of property on Welsh Road.
This is a property on Welsh Road that to acquire for traffic improvements and general municipal purposes for your consideration this evening.
Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed to acquire a parcel of property on Welsh Road for road improvements and general municipal purposes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. It's a roll call vote.
Ms. Harmon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Nesbitt, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And Mr. McCouch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, next is considering an ordinance adopting the 2018 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, which we had the hearing on earlier. I guess the next four items and the next three motions, yes, would be for that.
Want me to make all three? I move to adopt the ordinance as proposed, adopting the 2018 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, therefore repealing Ordinance 2019-05 and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith. Additionally, I move to adopt the ordinance as proposed, adopting the 2018 edition of the International Fire Code, therefore repealing Ordinance 2019-03 and all other ordinances as parts of ordinances in conflict therewith. And lastly, I move to introduce the proposed ordinance granting a public utility easement. No?
No, that's different.
Yeah, I thought so. So it's just the two, right?
Yes.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
we have
So
a
I
second?
am done at those two.
You have a second?
Second.
All right, they've been moved and seconded. I'm sorry, this is a roll call vote?
Ms. Harmon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Nesbitt, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And Mr. McCouch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, then we are considering another resolution establishing a time and place for a public hearing on an ordinance to grant a public utility easement to the Horsham Water and Sewer Authority.
One before that, introducing the ordinance.
And there's one before that,
But
introducing.
they're both, both of them are connected, and it has to do with the Oak Ridge land development for Keith Valley and County Line. So the Water and Sewer Authority needs an easement on township-owned property for that development to occur for water and sewer lines.
Okay, so now there's two motions for that.
I move to introduce the proposed ordinance granting a public utility easement to the Horsham Water and Sewer Authority on township property on Keith Valley Road and hereby authorize advertisement of the same.
Second.
Moved and seconded, it's a roll call vote?
Ms. Harmon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Nesbitt, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And Mr. McCouch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next motion,
Move to adopt the resolution as proposed, establishing a time and place for a public hearing on an ordinance granting public utility easement to the Horsham Water and Sewer Authority on township property on Keith Valley Road, Wednesday, May 11th, 2022, at 7:45 PM in the Horsham Township Municipal Building.
Second.
been moved and seconded, and finally a roll call vote?
Ms. Harmon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Nesbitt, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
And Mr. McCouch, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, without there being any other items on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned.